comic books made more sense. You know it is fictitious without pretense.
In a world where everything runs on air, air is more precious than gold. But here in Erlandia, the Tyrants of Wind control it, and only the air raiders can stop them.
Air raiders, the power is in the air raiders. They never give in, fighting for air against the Tyrants of Wind. Air raiders, the power is in the air.
In Erlandia, the air rage has just begun. The incredible air raiders, new from Marvel Comics.
Hello once again, hope everyone's doing well. Today I thought I'd take a look at Air Raiders #1, The Power is in the Air. It's from Star Comics, which was an imprint of Marvel Comics. They produced cartoon-based and toy-based comic books. Marvel was already doing this anyways, but they decided to make an imprint for all this stuff. Star Comics tends to confuse me because there were cartoon and toy-based comics after this that were not Star, they were just Marvel. Like, I'm pretty sure Alf was Marvel, right? So, and Police Academy, which was based more on the cartoon. So, I don't know if Star just, like, folded, or they just thought it was a weird thing to attempt a new imprint when everyone was already reading Transformers and G.I. Joe under Marvel. But anyhow, this is in the days of Star, and Air Raiders was a Hasbro-produced toy line. It was mostly marketing the vehicles, and the little figurines were small, they were tiny. I don't know if they were the size of Starcom figures. They're probably a little bit bigger. Mainly, it was just to sell these big, elaborate vehicle play sets that were powered by air. You would like pound like an air bellows and it would shoot out a missile or something like that, right? So Air Raiders was cool. I love Hasbro in this time period. Hasbro was at the forefront of making all these crazy science fiction ideas. Kenner was in there as well, with things like I think Sky Commanders was Kenner. I could be mistaken. But, Hasbro also had Inhumanoids and Visionaries and cool stuff like that. If you're a science fiction action fan, all this stuff was amazing. The thing was, between 86 and 87, there was a glut of these toy lines, all competing with each other, like Bionic 6, etc., etc., and eventually they all sort of cannibalized each other and made way for the Ninja Turtles to be the next big thing. And then after that was the Power Rangers. So this is one of the lines that sort of got folded in all that fray. It maybe lasted a year or two, and now is completely forgotten. They did not have a cartoon as far as I'm aware. There was a series of spiffy animations made for the commercials, and that was awesome. The toys were cool. They're tough to find now, I find. But they also had a Marvel comic, and the Marvel comic was a cut above. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. So let's take a look at Air Raiders issue 1. All right. Here's another Pebbles commercial. It always amazes me, Flintstones, the franchise is long sort of dead or dying, but Pebbles cereal is still everywhere, and I don't know if they still make the Flintstones chewable vitamins, but, that's cool. I mean, they used to have these big full-page ads right on the covers in comics. So, Air Raiders is written by Howard A. Mackie, and penciled by Kelley Jones. Inker is Jim Sinclair. And letters by Janice Chang. Janet Jackson does color, not that Janet Jackson. Bob Budiansky, who was a chief architect of Transformers, is editor, and of course Tom DeFalco is editor-in-chief. So here are the bad guys with their awesome looking armor. All of the armor design work here is incredible. It's pretty good. And they're in a village. Now they're on a world called Airlandia, conveniently enough. And that world, contrary to its name, doesn't have a lot of air. So it's a technologically advanced world. Apparently there's some sort of ecological disaster that got rid of all the air. And now air is more valuable than gold. And there's these bad guys called the... well, they're led by Aerozar. Yeah, they're the Tyrants of Wind. And the good guys are the air raiders. A lot of work was put into like the lore and everything. I wonder if there was supposed to be a cartoon and it just never materialized. So these guys are subjugating like a town. People are begging for air, and they're all fighting amongst each other and stuff. There's a baron called... So there's a whole bunch of barons, and they're all the bad guys. And they're barons of different sections of Airlandia. And one of them's called Baron Sunder. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's Baron Sunder. No, this is General Kronax. That might be Sunder. So here are the good guys. Is Rock. Rock is the leader. And he has a whole bunch of different, generic guys that team up with them and stuff. Rock is wanted, dead or alive. Air Raider leader. 20,000 air credit rewards, whatever that means. Just give people air. if air is that precious. So here are the other good guys. They're scouting for the bad guys to come. And here they're going to and they keep saying this, Air Raiders ride the wind. I guess that was going to be their big battle cry. And here they're piloting the different sort of like vehicles from the toy line. I know that's called the Air Dagger. Oh, here we go. So Twin Lightning is this thing, Thunderclaw is this thing, and the Storm Dagger. That's what it's called. Storm Dagger is that thing. And these, I think, are called Hawkwinds. I'm not sure. So those are the bad guy ships. So they're going to engage them. And so here, Rock teams up with another dude, who looks kind of evil, but like he still helps him out. Here's a Tang commercial, very elaborate looking. So he leads them to like into the village and everything. They fight these bad guys and all that stuff. I love this is typical, like this reminds me of a Sunbow cartoon, which is what this would have been, because they did a lot of Marvel and Hasbro work, right? But he tries to he's all smooth talking and stuff, and he's like, spare credit for a couple of veterans down in their luck, and they're like, no, go away. And it's like, are you sure it's tax deductible? And he's pointing a gun at them. Well, if you're going to be so unfriendly, we'll have to conclude this business transaction. So he fights them, he beats them all up. They're trying to get the air from this thing. They're air raiders, right? So they're gonna steal air. And they get attacked and everything, and the good guy air raiders are coming to steal the air. One guy has rocket boots, which is kind of cool, and they also fire freeze weapons. That's cool. So these guys are all frozen. What's this? Oh, a video cassette offer. Cool. Sports ball. So here they are stealing the air, and the bad guys are trying to stop them. The air raiders fly into a petrified cloud forest. So it's all clouds that were frozen, and sort of like fell to earth and just like are these giant structures, and they stop short of there, because they don't want to go into enemy territory and get surrounded, right? So the air raiders had discovered that there is a secret, like, sweet spot of actual trees and vegetation and air. That's their hideout. And no one really knows this, that, like, beyond the petrified, like, cloud forest is this, like, paradise. So that's where they plan all their operations and everything. Rock is upset that they stole the air from the Tyrants of Wind, which was stolen from the one town. But everyone there is still starving for air. And he said, I know this air is going to power our vehicles and everything for the cause, but I'd rather just give this back to that town. And the king man is like, well, I don't know, what do you think, right? So, and he's like, do we have the right to let a village die? So meanwhile, all the barons are meeting up and everything. And so all the barons are like, yeah, the air raiders pose no threat to my area. It's like, yeah, we crushed them a while ago. Yeah, we're, they're saying the same thing. And this guy's like, this is Sunder. And he's like, is it not obvious? Erozar, herbal activity is non-existent here in the north. And Kronax approaches, and Kronax is like, we just fought guys in Sunder's area, and they stole air. And he's like, well, very interesting, Kronax. Is like, Sunder, you fool. It seems your non-existent rebels have taken my air, my tribute. So he's like, you two go back to that town and rectify this, get my air back, right? And they're all like, yeah, we're going to do this. So that's Sunder. He's like, the guilty will be punished, my lord. Of that you can be assured. And he's all like evil, smiling and stuff. So the air raiders go back to that town and they're like, you know what? Here's your air, man. So they're giving everyone air, and this mother is like, thank you so much. Is like, you and your son and everyone, this is what it's all about. They're all shaking hands and stuff, but the bad guys are coming back. And so they make their big battle cry, air raiders, ride the wind. So they unsheath their vehicles. The bad guys aren't there to attack them, they're there to go to the village, right? So Rock is like, you know what, man your vehicles, I'm going to go in on foot. And so Kronax and Sunder, they look awesome, eh? And these were tiny figures, weren't big enough to appreciate the design work here. So they're all trying to take their air and everything. Air lancers shoot them out of the sky. Air lancers are their troops. So Rock encounters Sunder. It's like, Rock, I've waited a long time to catch up with you again. You are a disgrace to your emperor, your planet, and your family. And he says all this stuff, and he says, air lancers removed my son's breather. So everyone's shocked that he just made this revelation. That the leader of the air raiders, giving all the Tyrants of Wind a hard time, is the son of one of the barons. So he's like, come on, do it. And so he gives them all a fight. Rock escapes. And here's a commercial for a new Rocky and Bullwinkle comic that was coming out at the time. But for some reason they called it Bullwinkle and Rocky. And it had like Dudley Do-Right and all this other stuff. I don't know what this pun is for. Ninja Turtles wasn't popular at this point. It's a sewer thing. I don't get it. I don't understand that. But anyway. So yeah, Rock is fighting all these air lancers and everything. Pretty good art. Here, Tom DeFalco makes his announcement that he used to be the editor-in-chief of Star Comics. Now he's the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics and Star Comics. So, so he's talking about all this, and your dreams can come true too, and all that stuff. Here's a checklist of Star Comics. So Heathcliff apparently had two titles: Heathcliff's Funhouse and Heathcliff. Masters of the Universe was still around. Thundercats, Air Raiders 1, which we're looking at now, Visionaries 1, launched about this time. Masters of the Universe, the motion picture adaptation. I need to track that down. Because that movie had come around around this year, the 87. Bullwinkle and Rocky, Muppet Babies, which was huge on TV. I think it won like 4 Emmy Awards. And Care Bears was still a thing, and apparently there's a Mad Balls crossover with the Care Bears. Mad Balls, of course, were a series of wacky-looking rubber balls with faces on them and stuff. That was a kind of a popular toy line, and they made a whole comic out of it. I don't remember there being a cartoon. So Rock is still fighting these air lancers, and he discovers that Sunder has been hit and he's losing air, and he needs a breather. He needs air, and he's like, "Give me your air," and he's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." But he's like, "Listen, if you vow to leave this village and its air alone, now and in the future, I'm sure they can spare some surplus air for you." And he's like, "Okay, you have my word, right?" So he brings a kid with some air and gives it to him. And he's like, "Why did you help me? Trust me." He's like, "As I said, I know you are as good as your word, and because you are my father." So they all part ways, and Sunder is humiliated. He's like, "We will meet again, my son. You can count on that." And then they, Air Raiders ride the wind. They take off. I thought this was pretty good. It wasn't lazy. It was, I like the whole sort of like Darth Vader father-son thing. That's fun. I love the designs of everything. This really is reminiscent of the time, and makes me nostalgic. I mean, I didn't own any Air Raiders merchandise at the time except for comics. And these designs look like 1987 Hasbro. It just looks awesome to me. So yeah, there's Air Raiders. I can't remember how many issues this lasted. Didn't last very long, just like the toy line. Here's Rock and Bullwinkle asking you to subscribe to, Star Comics. And here's some M&M's commercials. Here's a chocolate fun for everyone. So you go, plain and peanut. And Popples, a long forgotten toy line of stuffed animals that you can fold into sort of fanny pack looking things. They had a cartoon. These guys had a cartoon and Air Raiders didn't, but I remember the Popples cartoon. I remember it being a long run, to be honest with you. But there you have it. Air Raiders, issue 1 from Star Comics, aka Marvel Comics. A long lost, long forgotten Hasbro toy line with a lot of great, fun, rich lore to it, just in one issue. So I hope you enjoyed looking through this with me. Take care.